Hello, so today we have Kuppulakshmi with us. She is Global Head of Zoho for Startups, and we will learn more about what Zoho for Startups does for the startup ecosystem in India with her. Right? Hello Kuppu, how are you?
Hi, Avnish. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah.
I'm doing good.
Could you please introduce yourself and tell what do you do at Zoho for Startups?
Sure. So, I have been with this organization called Zoho for the past 15-16 years now. And what Zoho primarily does is we create and sell software. So we go with the tagline now, made in India, made for the world. So it's 50 plus software applications for any kind of businesses of any size or any vertical that can choose Zoho for running their business operations. And as part of what I do at Zoho for Startups, we realized that startups, irrespective of where they come, they need technology as the backbone of their operations. And most startups realize in hindsight that they need a trustworthy software vendor. So via the Zoho for Startups program, we take Zoho's software to where they are at a very early stage and tell them that they can use Zoho to partner with, in the sense of having the right software vendor on board from a very early stage.
So Kuppu, what exactly inspired Zoho for Startups? Like Zoho has been running as an MNC now. So why Zoho for Startups?
So for clarity, Zoho is a bootstrapped organization. So we are a private limited, and Sridhar Vembu is the founder, and we have been doing this for 30 years now. As an extension, it's a great question to have on why Zoho for Startups, right? So in the year 2015-16, a lot of buzz was created in India around the word startup, though we have had startups that have been existing right from 2006 to 2007. But after this got so much used in Silicon Valley, it kind of came to India, like I said, with so much buzz around. And that was also the time when Zoho had traveled in its software journey from just a handful of apps to a complete suite of applications. So we realized, okay, we have all kinds of users that are coming to Zoho, who are small businesses, who are solopreneurs, to someone who's running legacy business generations after generations with about 16,000 employees. So we realized, why not use this momentum that's been built in India with the arrival of entities like Startup India that brought infrastructure, policy, definition, a clear definition around what startups should be. So we realized the timing was right to introduce Zoho to this special go-to-market and have them say, hey, come knock at the door of Zoho and pick any apps that you want to run your business. So that's how the idea was born, when there was so much buzz and Zoho had enough number of software applications to serve the startups.
So is there any inspiration from the founder, or is it more about the business? Like Zoho for Startups is more into making money, or is it, inspired by giving back to the community?
It started as something that was more like a giving back. That's how we envisioned the program. So the top leaders from Zoho said that let's catch these startups at a very early stage. And because we have been there, the very idea of why we built 50 plus software applications is we kept looking at the market for trustworthy, scalable software, and we didn't find any. So Zoho thought, why don't we build it ourselves? That's how we went from a handful of apps to this. Why not extend this to those startups who need that very frugal support at a very early stage? So it started like, okay, let's give back to this community that once was we were very much like them. However, you cannot not look at an angle of, you're running a business, you have to talk about profitability.
Right.
So we've stopped grandstanding, saying, we are the big brother, or, this organization that will help you at the very early stage. So it's become profitable at an angle where you don't have this kind of software out in the market that builds on ethics, that builds on we are not going to sell your data to third-party vendors. Here is someone who's trustworthy, who does not burn a hole in your pocket, and you can scale your organization in a very short period of time using our apps. So it started off as that giving back, but now it functions as that good business model. Also has a foundation of profitability where we say you come on board, try using Zoho at a very early stage. This is good for the startups. It's good for us because we catch them at a very early stage before they go into other software vendors where you have to do a lot of marketing spend, a lot of cross-selling spend. We catch them very early. So it's both sides of the same business coin.
So Kuppu, you mentioned that you have 50 plus applications in your suite, right? Could you please elaborate more on what kind of applications these are and how can startups, benefit from them?
Sure, that's a great question too. So I can speak Zoho language, but let me try doing this from how a startup or a business comes and stands in front of Zoho or its website. Yes. Any business that you take, a startup or a functioning enterprise model, it has a foundational operational anatomy, what we can call, where you have to manage your people, you have to manage your process, and you have to manage your money, the finance around it. When I say people, it's both internal and external, your clients, your users, your vendors, and everybody. And then you have internally, you have employees who you have to pay. And you also get some funding if you are a startup, and you keep track of how you're putting that funding to use in your business model. And then you have a whole collaboration, communication that has to happen between these entities. And then you have operations like how you manage your IT, how do you manage the data that comes to you in your early stage of business. And then you also have, over a period of time, you've accumulated so much IT that you have to understand how the backbone of your company works. So be it communication and collaboration, be it IT infrastructure, be it sales and marketing, you have to build a website. And as a founder, you're trying to build a very frugal team, a small team. And you have to be your own social media manager, and you have to be your own salesperson. All of this, you have applications for your sales and marketing and for your IT management. And also, eventually, your human resources. How do you pay them? How do you manage your attendance? How do these contract people work? So you name a software to build a business, you have it all available under one roof called Zoho, that's built on ethics, that's built on good pricing, that's built on what you see is what you get.
So Kuppu, you mentioned the word frugal, right? So there are many applications available in the market, right? So there's Google Workspace, Tally, Salesforce, right? Many CRMs, many ERPs. People have their own custom CRMs and ERPs as well.
Of course.
So how does Zoho fit in the equation? Do you think Zoho is better than them, or Zoho is better priced, more affordable for the startups? What is it that is the USP for Zoho for startups?
Right. So how to look at this question in a module wise, because it's really a grand question. Let's break it down a bit. Any business that looks, if I'm a founder and I'm a first time founder, I don't come with the knowledge that I know I'm going to make the right choice. I have certain ignorance and I don't know what I don't know yet. So when I look at evaluating software vendors or who am I going to bring on board, I think it's very important to have the mindset that I ask the right questions. So from that angle, I don't even know where to begin, what kind of. So who are these decision makers at a very early stage? So when all of this you put together, you understand when you look at Zoho, we have enough comparison pages that you have to make your own decision. Of course, if I represent Zoho today, I will have all the good things to say. But what can I give you if you're going to ask me, why Zoho and why not Google, and why Tally and why not Zoho Books? My answer will be, here is what Tally does, and here is where Zoho Books comes and stands in terms of pricing, in terms of the features that we offer. So when you enter Zoho, we promise you transparency. So when I say what you see is what you get, we have customer testimonials. So then that other businesses who have used the product, what do they say about Zoho? What is the pricing? And if you're picking a premium edition of a product, what comes under that? What are the features, what are the things that you would get? And you have free resources when you say a recorded webinar, a live community. There's a lot of conversations that are going around for you to make a good decision. So you have comparison sheets with what's in Tally, what's in the Zoho books, but you talk to any of us, of course we would say pick Zoho, because you think from a founder's mindset. They arrive at a place of chaos, and then they realize in hindsight, oh, I should have picked a software that is not just trustworthy or pricing, but I need it to be scalable. Even
Right.
today in 2025, we talk about data silos. So sometimes you arrive at the chaos and look back. So if you look at the founder's path, like in textbook, in reality is far from this. You're sitting under the apple tree, the idea hits you, you have a eureka moment, and you want to write down your idea and then move it into a solid presentation or a proof of concept. And then you're going to put it into a pitch deck. You're going to your early stage, a vendor, an angel investor, or a seed funding. And then you have to arrange meetings. And then you're sandboxing, right? So you go from pick out your phone, write down on Zoho notebook the idea that just arrived before it evaporates, and then you move that into a proof of concept using Zoho Writer, and then you go into a pitch deck using the presentation app from Zoho called Zoho Show, and you arrange online meetings using Zoho Meeting. And then if you want to use a platform on which you want to build, because these apps are not available in the market, you use low-code platforms like Zoho Creator or Catalyst by Zoho that gives you the sandboxing platform to build your product on. So if you go in this path of how a founder travels, we literally can be your software co-founder in every step of the way. Early stage, your growth stage, or scaling stage.
So kind of virtual CTO.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
So you mentioned transparency. Other you mentioned about affordability.
Correct.
So somewhere some founder would have this in mind that you guys are trying to monopolize on all the apps that you are providing.
Yeah.
And sometimes they want to integrate a third party app into their business, or they are already using some app, so they don't want to migrate. So how do you solve that problem? Do you want a founder, once he joins Zoho, he should use all the Zoho suite, or is it that you offer you offer some kind of
I get the point. Yeah, this is a very valid question. Thanks for asking that, because monopolizing is something not the top leadership is looking at. Why? It sounds like counterproductive, right? If you want a user to come, he or she want them to be all on Zoho. That's profitable for a business. However, because we have been bootstrapped, we have put ethics at the heart of how we are building this organization. I know profitability is very important, but how we get that profit, from whom, what kind of businesses, who should look up to Zoho, is the legacy we want to leave behind. This is something I have learned from the founders themselves, having been in Zoho for the past 16 years. So anybody who arrives at Zoho, say for example if they're using Outlook or they're using Gmail, we do have one option where you have plugins. Right, with the existing model that you have.
So there is a flexibility to integrate.
Absolutely, there's marketplace integrations where we've listed more than 10,000 apps from different vendors. Say we work with our own competitors that way. You have already picked MailChimp or the other campaign running apps you have for some reason, but you now want to use Zoho CRM, or now you want to use Zoho landing page to design your website. We have every backbone, free APIs, the calls that you can have. You have marketplace integrations where with plugins, you can easily build your existing system and have Zoho around. So the monopolizing is something that we are very, very clear we won't do eventually at any point in time. Over a period of time, the journey, it so happens for a founder that once they come and pick 2-3 apps in Zoho, they realize, why can't I move my whole system into this?
Yes.
Even today, there are people who know only a handful of apps that's available in Zoho. So they're pleasantly surprised, realizing, oh, I didn't even know that I could manage my, after doing my A/B testing, I can manage my own social media and run my own campaigns based on what I find from the A/B testing. So there's a lot of surprises like that.
So, let's just take an example. So, I'm starting my own D2C brand.
Yeah.
As a startup founder, I enroll in Zoho for Startup program. Right. And I'm from non-tech background. Let's just assume that, right?
Right.
Though I'm not, but just,
Yes.
let's just assume that I'm a
Sure.
non-tech founder.
Sure.
So is there any support from Zoho's side? Is there anyone who can guide? Number one. Number two, what are the benefits that I get as a startup? Are there any credit points like AWS offers or other
of course
brands offer? Or one is support, another is how to use that SaaS product. So do you give some videos, or is there any call support?
Sure.
What is it? And another is, what are the credits or something that you give or not?
So remember how we spoke about any model that you bring, a program like Zoho for startups, it has to run profitably. So if I have to answer your question on both sides of the same coin, yes, we give support. I'll get into detail in a minute. And we do everything where the startup founder with no experience, how do they benefit from the Zoho for Startups program? Everything that you said is there. On the other side is also where what we don't do via the program is we don't do one-to-one support, because this program has to scale, right? So you are a founder, you understand how your founder's mindset is slightly different from how when you become the customer mindset. Obviously, when I'm buying something, I want to know what's the benefit for me. On that angle, what we do is we bring these incubators or collaborators at one point where 30-40 startups come together, and then we introduce Zoho big picture and how you can benefit from the program. Now coming back to the main point of the question, anybody who comes to Zoho for Startups program via an incubator or they have a DPIIT, it helps in finishing the validation. That's something we don't do as part of the program. A validated idea, they have a registered DPIIT, they come to us via these incubators, and we give a 1 year worth of wallet credits. That comes close to 1,86,000. And startups.
How long does they usually last?
360 days. The validity is for 360 days. But an early stage startup, who is our primary, the lead that we are looking at, they can use it for up to 8-9 months if they're very, very tech savvy. But you're talking early stage startup, right?
Right.
That time we see that data and experience tells us the founder's focus is not how much more tech can I use. Their focus is on how can I scale, how can I go. Now I've arrived from 0 to 1. Now how do I get my first 50 or 100 paying customers? So they look at CRM, they look at managing the social media. They want to know how many people arrived at my website, and you say the heat map, right? They go from initial pages to pricing page, which means they're very close to decision making. So these are the apps. On an average, we see even the most experienced founders, they don't pick more than 5 to 6 applications, which is a very healthy thing to do when you're setting up your business. Not flooding yourself with technology is a very smart decision to do. When they do this is a surplus amount of credits we give. I know there's comparison with other market software programs, startup programs we have, like you said, AWS and others, that really throw $10,000 in credits versus we are not even 2 lakhs. So the question that we want founders to ask is, why is your software so expensive to the other market players? So Google Workspace, and you have Zoho Workplace in space, and we cost about 1/4 of what you spend for Google. And then you can't ignore all the security and privacy policy we have in place for the founders. With all of this, of running this program for the past 9 years, I can say that very rarely we've had people say the credits are not enough. The pricing, the style in which you pick the licenses, it's very, very sufficient for 360 days for the founders to come and use Zoho apps. I hope I answered all your question.
Yeah, I'll just reiterate the point. So, so the credits are less, but since it is affordable, the credits are sufficient for the startup.
Exactly. So I would say the credits seem lesser if you put us in comparison with the other startup programs out there. But the credits are sufficient if you understand
the cost,
Zoho's pricing, and telling yourself that if I'm going to pick 10 new software, where is my time going in understanding and implementing it, which for early stage startup founders is a lot. You don't have, at that point, you don't have a CTO in place, right? You yourself are that infrastructure person. So 6 to 7 apps is like, you don't go crazy. That's just enough.
So since the cost is less, you get enough points.
Exactly. The validity of the wallet stands good. For example, I'll give you just one example with Zoho, because we're talking about Zoho workplace, right? With just less than 99 rupees, you get one license. And you're trying to set up this for what, 10 to 15 of your team members? So we have democratized this a little more with stage 1 credits and stage 2 credits, where we don't allow you to make mistakes. Though sometimes, elders in a family, when you're sick or when you don't know what to do with your health, they give you something bitter, right? We don't like the bitter medicine, but it's going to do wonders for you. So we advise you against your own speed. We caution you with, don't take 10, 15 software applications, even if you're the most tech savvy founder. That's not the right pace in which you bring implementations.
Is there any eligibility criteria for the startups to enroll in Zoho for Startups program?
Yes, Avnish. So when we talk about the Zoho for Startups program, we've designed it in a way where we want to keep this frill-free, because in the market we have seen other programs that promise a lot of wallet credits, but when you enter and start using those credits, slowly these conditions start revealing themselves, that one is left wondering, okay, how am I going to benefit from this program? So somewhere between how we want to make this a profitable program versus how a founder can really benefit from this, we realized that, one, we worked on transparency. The simplicity of the program is, you come via an incubator or an accelerator or a startup entity that is already well established, right? Most of the times you will fall under any of this category, or you will go register yourself in the Startup India's portal with a specific DPIIT number. So very consciously we have removed ourselves from validating the startups, because it's a huge task. And if you want to scale the program, you can't be validating 15,000 startups and their idea. So we left it to entities like these, Startup India and T-Hub and Kerala Startup Mission, to every other successful incubator. So they run their pitch days, demo days, get the startups, validate the idea, and then they form a cohort. We work with these cohort at the very initial stage, introduce the program. So coming to the validity or eligibility criteria is that you have to be under any of these incubators. If you are a bootstrapped, which is also a case, an important case we are making, right? That case we engage with the founders and saying, we speak to them, we spend a few minutes to know what kind of disruption they're looking at and how they expand their business. So do you have a website? Do you have these basic setups done? So that the eligibility is that you take these credits at the right time in your growth. Right. If you're too early and then you take the wallet credits, it does expire whether you use it or not, 360 days. And that way we caution them, saying there's no koi jaldi nahi hai. You take it in a time where when you're ready, when you're really thinking of investing in the software. Otherwise in a pre-early stage it doesn't come so handy. So it's very simple. Your eligibility criteria, if you're bootstrapped, talk to us. If you are under any of the incubators, come via them. We have a website for Zoho for Startups, very clear forms. If you are an incubator, fill this form. If you are a startup, fill this form and come to us. From there, we give them basic information to do and 3-4 steps on how to understand Zoho for Startups, because we tell them the little terms and conditions. Don't come back to us and say, "Arey, we didn't use the wallet credits really well," or "We didn't know how to use it." When there's a clear instruction on who is concierge, how do you understand Zoho, come be part of the webinar. So that way the eligibility is very, very simple. And infrastructure wise, SaaS, you have a data center, you're creating an account, you're trying to put your data. That way we help them understand, once you use your credits, we really can't extend it another time. Right. That way it's built on that business model.
So what types of startups typically benefit from your program? Is there any specific sector? Is there any specific geography that you're focusing? Or is there any specific stage that you're focusing? Or is it that you guys are sector agnostic?
We are sector agnostic. Like I said, when we remove ourselves from validating, we are open for everybody. We treat everybody the same. We don't really get into the details of whether your story's been covered in your story, whether one of the most favorite angel investor is part of your board. We don't really look into that. Also because it needs expertise, more than the mind share. Who am I to
and
judge
check
or
that, yeah.
validate. So that way you already have an incubator, you already have a great idea, you have a successful team. Now how do we complete this circle? Come, we will give you software from Zoho via the program. So we kind of complete this circle of support, what we call. In this, we are sector agnostic. Education, finance, space tech, there's a lot of martech, marketing tech, all the fancy terms we have today. With AI at the center, we serve everybody, we work with everybody. And so we are sector agnostic. What else was the question?
Geography, any specific geography?
Nothing at all.
Since Zoho is based out of southern part of India.
Great.
Is
So
it that you focus
exactly
mostly there?
So Zoho functions out of this southern tip of Tamil Nadu in India, right? So we really love this story of ours where we all believe that you don't have to be in Silicon Valley to build the next successful startup. Take example from Zoho. The founder, now he's the chief scientist. He lives in a village, a quaint little village called Tenkasi. Half of us don't know where it exists in geography, but we've built profitable, successful teams out of these villages, especially after COVID and all of that. With this at the backdrop, we don't really see where the startups come from. In fact, we have our heart close to tier 2 and tier 3. You talk about Bengaluru, you talk about Delhi, you talk about even places like Kerala now, they have all the support. The government has a very successful IT minister, you have infrastructure and policy, and at your very reach you have support systems in place, all the mentors. But with tier 2 and tier 3, it's a lot like us. We want to put them on the world map as well. So yeah, we're kind of in a good way partial, but we work with everybody. But in sync with Zoho's growth. We can't really open Zoho for startups in those regions that Zoho is not really functioning yet.
Right.
Because we believe that in order to understand where our new go-to-market is, we have to understand the culture of the people. At least we need somebody who speaks the local language so that you understand innovation is different from region to region. Within India, right, how many startups say originated in Tamil Nadu, but they couldn't sell the same thing in the neighboring state because there is a significant cultural difference, and that's important to understand. So we wait till Zoho grows in those regions, and in a real organic sense, we take Zoho for startups there. We make sure local language support is first available via Zoho before we introduce the program in those regions. And even in that journey in the past 9 years, with Zoho's exponential growth, we are more than 100 countries now. We've taken Zoho for Startups program to about 17, 18 countries now.
Oh, it is out of India also?
Yes, it's gone global. We have in Middle East Africa, we have in United Kingdom, we have it in France. We also are now active in APAC, the whole belt of Singapore, Malaysia and everywhere. So it's slowly growing organically in those regions as well. It's keeping us really, really busy.
Is there any success story that you would like to share with us, that from Zoho for Startups someone has done really well in this startup? Is there any standout success story?
Okay, so I'm going to pause and pull myself back. When we started in 2016-17, Zoho for Startups, if you rightly said no, it's like a startup. I used to remember names and email address and what they do. We've really scaled where I have a very efficient team taking care of the data. So I'll tell you one sample. It's unfair to every other startup who's doing really well via the Zoho for Startups program. We have brilliant case studies and testimonials coming from these startups on how using Zoho, for example, how they became 65% more productive, and how post-COVID they realized that with using the power of technology, they can really be a lean team. You don't have to have, for example, a social media manager if you know how to use Zoho Social well, for example. I'll come to that in a minute. But pulling back, there are a few success stories that are my personal favorite. I might sound a little impartial here because the rest of the startups, they deserve every mention. So there is this S4S Technologies. So they work with farmers in getting the B grade food that don't look as beautiful, because we like picking beautiful looking tomatoes and potatoes, and if they are deformed a bit, we think
Yeah,
they're
right.
not good for the kitchen,
Yeah.
right? So they buy and they make it into a good products, like garlic peels become garlic powder, and they employ
They usually end up there, like semi-rotten tomatoes go to
Exactly.
making sauce and all these
Exactly.
things.
So these are still good quality food, right?
right.
So, and this generation has to understand what it takes. You know,
To grow
when
food.
like agriculture is backbone of the economy, not just in textbooks. So some startups like these, we function as an employee. We look at ourselves as friends, family members. We always forget that we are citizens of India.
Right.
And these are the startups that put patriotism at the center of the work. I cannot talk about this without getting emotional. And it's nice that they're looking at the future generation, how we have to still preserve planet Earth, some beauty that we enjoyed, my generation, to the next generation. So some of them are working on energy consumption with IoT at the center of the startup. Some of them are working on, like I said, as far as technologies from Aurangabad has put micro entrepreneurs, the village women, and employing them to create these food materials that have good shelf life. So there are a few startups that have put patriotism at the center, that have put planet Earth at the center of their idea.
Zoho is one of them.
I really love working with them. It gives us the purpose. It's the days you're tired, you're asking yourself, why am I running this program that's making me go mad? And I look at these startups that are creating beautiful impact that gives you so much energy and hope. That keeps you running like for the next 3 months.
Right. But patriotism is at the heart of Zoho itself, right?
It is. We learn from the best, no?
Yeah, right. And do you also provide mentorship and funding? So for example, Zoho has a family office as well.
Correct.
So when someone enrolls in Zoho for startup, is there any mentorship or funding provided as well or not?
Okay, the answer is both yes and no. When we talk about mentorship, from 2016 to where we are today, we have a lot of people who have done and dusted with startups. You know, they went through this experience, they learned a lot of things. Now they come with the mindset that now I want to give back. The entrepreneurs need not go through the same mistakes or lack of support. So there are beautiful people out there, right from, you know, Red Bus, right? Red Bus's founder, Funny. Now he's become mentor. He's put himself in those tier 2, tier 3 places for mentoring. So we have a lot of platforms like Startup India that has mentorship program available for free. And then there are programs like Upgrad that's available to every. So it's not just a person as a mentor. Knowledge is available as mentor. The stories of startups that did really well and then they disappeared. We couple of startups in the education space that now that are shut down thanks to the ethics of the founders. So we have good and bad lessons as mentors available for every startup from every vertical to take. From Zoho's angle, we are careful in how we call ourselves mentor. When I mentor startups, I don't mentor them on how to become a successful business. I only mentor on how do you use software to become more efficient. I stop there.
Right.
That's my expertise. I'm not here to say when do you go get your next round of funding.
Right.
I know which is not my expertise and I step away. But the wealth of network, I know which startup should be connected to who. So we kind of build that community. And with the rest of the people in Zoho, when they come as mentors to startup, some people openly wonder, how does Zoho function with 50 different product teams? So think of each of us as individual startups, 50 different products.
Right.
We have to have a common theme, right? How does the vision and mission trickle down from the top leadership to each of us where we all speak the same Zoho language? These are the things that are textbook worthy, that are classroom worthy. We pass it on to the startups. When we build a product, how does Zoho look as go-to-market strategy? Who are our users in the beginning? Who we do beta testing with? All of that. That kind of mentorship we give. We are very careful in not stepping into mentorships as, like I said, validation of idea or tell them when they should really go scaling to another market.
And what about funding?
Funding. So funding, look at it in two ways. Zoho for Startups starts and stops with wallet credits. This is the support we give as a subset of Zoho's functioning as a program. Funding comes from mostly the family office as of now, where there's no formal announcement or the leadership does not go sit in pitch decks and demo days. It's very close to their vision of how they want India to be at 2047. What are some of the socio-economic problems that we need to solve? One example I'll give you. Zoho's family office funded a robo called Gen Robotics, that's in Kerala, and they removed the manual scavenging need by humans.
Right.
We know we lose a lot of people when they get exposed to poisonous
Yes,
gases. And today when we are sending so much space and advanced technology, you can't have humans still doing that kind of
Right,
jobs.
yes.
With this mindset, that investment happened. But still there is no structure yet. What is our next investment if you ask me?
Okay.
I have to fall back on what they are doing.
Okay.
So very soon I think we'll bring some structure to what the family office is looking, so that any of the startups can benefit from
That would be
Zoho's
great.
leadership.
Yes.
So the funding is very, very no structure. So we pick and choose based on what the leadership team or the family office wants.
Right, got it. So, Kuppu, my question is that, since there is a lot of things going on in SaaS ecosystem, where do you see Indian SaaS ecosystem going in next 3 to 5 years? And then there is AI integration coming with it. So, how do you look at this?
So for every ecosystem, there is an early stage. There's a lot of enthusiasm on building things. Now in India, we have reached a stage of having Invest India, Startup India, and every state involving. I think we've reached a state of maturity where we are better than as individual units when we come together. So there's a lot of consolidation happening on what you do and what I do has to come together in order to serve. So each individual SaaS solutions have now been coming together, compounding to give. Acquiring has been happening. Some of the small startups are getting part of to be larger ecosystems like Google, or you have Cisco for startups doing incredible work in terms of, let me not reinvent the wheel. Some startup is already doing well in the SaaS space, be it fintech, be it pharma, all of these, that was rather new to India at that point. I think a lot of consolidation is happening, which we see is very, very good for the market, at the end consumer, a good end-to-end solution being built. In the next 5 years, I think we are propelling it with AI at the heart of it. It's kind of interesting where after COVID, now we are talking so much about artificial intelligence, where we already have learned how to do more with less. So with the arrival of AI, cautiously, I think we step into the next 5 years on one thing that we all miss out when we talk about this is there is something called industrial revolution, right? We went from
Coal.
early stage to steam engines to a lot of revolution where we didn't have terms like blue collar, white collar before.
Right.
Now with Industrial Revolution 4.0 along with COVID was all about digital transformation.
Right.
India is still catching up. Only today we see phone pay and digital payments everywhere. We still have a long way to go in taking India to that. This is not even done and we are talking about 5.0. So we have to cautiously step into the next 5 years with arrival of AI, how it's disrupting education to every other fundamental functions of who we are. We are in a very early stage to comment about that.
So, Kuppu, is there any resources, communities, where we can discuss about Zoho for startups? We can see the reviews of the people who are already using it. Is there anything like that?
Sure.
Or is there any events that you guys organize?
So I'll break this down 3 important steps. We work with these incubators and collaborators to do a lot of online and in-person workshops other than the larger event that we are part of, because we really want at the end of it, starters should have knowledge on what I should know about picking a software vendor, even if I'm not picking Zoho. So that kind of knowledge sessions keep happening online. There are recorded sessions. And then we also travel when 20, 30 startups come together. This is where community comes into picture. No? When you ask me about Zoho, I'll say all the good things.
Right.
Because I'm very much part of that. But then we want intelligent decision making by the prospective users. So we have community based on whether you're a developer or you're from the retail segment or your real estate or finance. Based on the vertical, we have a lot of startup communities that's also under Zoho community. Now when startups join these chat groups, they get to learn from each other, not just on how Zoho has worked for you, but they get bonus knowledge on how the marketplace works, or a new network connection that happens. So community really functions from the angle of helping each other out. Sometimes marketplace integrations have happened. For an example, someone who's setting up urban terrace gardens got to collaborate with someone who sells authentic seeds.
Wow.
They didn't know each of them exists. They came together in a community meetup, and now they are partners and they are expanding their offering in terms of collaboration. This is one small example. There are communities, and then we have extensive resources under each product on how you can use each of this. We have support systems that we have integrated, and automations like we have Zoho's own intelligent assistant called Zia. So if you go to any of our web pages, you ask a question, it will bring you all the answers that you need. So we want startups to be self-sufficient and come to support Q as the last resource. No, it's a lot of time consuming.
Right. Seems like a vibrant community.
It is. So we have some partners and collaborators who are the most valued professionals. We call them the MVP.
Oh.
So they give us.
Yes. Wow, nice term. I will also use this.
Right.
So Kuppu, can you please elaborate more about your vision behind the collaboration between Zoho for Startups and PapSwap Center for Public Policy on Kashi Kaveri Startup Sangam?
Exactly. So when we do a program like Zoho for Startups, we kind of take the heart of what Zoho believes in. So the top leaders, if you see, who I have been mentored by directly, always believe that we have to serve the underserved. जो metro cities में है उनको तो सब मिल जाता है. But what do you do when people don't know that such services exist? And Zoho cannot do everything. We can't do everything via Zoho for Startups program. So we have key players like the PapSwap, where this is somewhere a beautiful synergy between government and what you intentionally want to do for the startups. So this helps us give that sweet spot to say, अरे हम कुछ कर सकते हैं. Like actionable insights, so fancy it looks on podcast and textbooks, but we really need outcome-driven collaborations that's very small and doable. So this is one synergy I see, that working with PapSwap policy, and this gives us a sweet spot to work in a designed way, structured way, where we can really show outcomes where startups have benefited from this collaboration, where there's policy, infrastructure, and all kinds of support. And then we complete the circle by the Zoho for Startups program, talking to the startups on giving wallet credits.
So Kuppu, we have a rapid fire round for you.
Shoot.
One Zoho product every founder should use.
One Zoho product every founder should use, I think I would say Zoho CRM. It's a flagship product.
Okay. One Indian startup that you admire a lot.
Very unfair, yeah. I can pick a lot. Can I skip?
Yes, sure.
I can pass the question.
One book every founder should read.
One book every founder should read. It's my take, right? I think
Yes.
everybody should read Autobiography of a Yogi.
Oh,
Gives
yes,
a lot
very
of
nice.
life lessons.
Paramhans Yogananda.
Yes,
Yes,
Yogananda.
I've read that. VC-backed startups or Bootstrapped?
Both. This is like asking arranged marriage or love marriage. Both have their outcomes. Both.
Right.
You pick your choice.
One personal productivity hack or tool?
Personal productivity hack, you're asking a working mom. Me time. Very fierce me time.
Okay, so that's all from my side. Thank you so much. It was
I
lovely
hope
having
I
you.
answered all your questions.
Yes, you
Avnish.
did. It was very nice having you today.
Thank you.
I hope more and more people could reach out to Zoho for Startups.
All the best for your podcast too.
Thank you.
We'll be talking about this a lot.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Avnish.
Zoho for Startups is a very powerful program that provides you with a suite of softwares. You can use it to scale your business. Every entrepreneur should try Zoho products and use it to scale their business. If you find this episode valuable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And for more such insightful podcasts, connect with us. Thank you.